Peace, everyone. Welcome to uh Beyond Breaking Barriers. I gotta put y'all on hold. That's my husband calling me. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Gotta put myself on mute. Okay, peace, y'all. I just had to make sure that was my husband calling me. He was like, "You ready?" Because I'm like three minutes late. So he's a producer, so he's looking out for me. So yeah, so welcome. This is Beyond Breaking Barriers here on Black Power Media. I'm your host, Piper Carter. So on Monday nights we talk about women in hip hop. I got a great show for y'all, a good conversation. It's been a rough ride over these last few weeks. So I hope that everyone is taking good care of yourselves. Um, Go on ahead and go to the description and check out the description to see what the show is going to be about today. And then while you're there, go ahead and click like, share, and subscribe. And if you haven't already done so, click the notification bell so that you can receive notifications if you would like to. And yeah, let people know to like come on in. So I hope everyone's had a great week so far. I've had a really cool week. Um for myself personally, the world has been in shambles. Um, so just sending much love and vibration to the entire world. I do want to do a quick plug at the beginning. I have another podcast or my own podcast, Piper Carter Podcast, and that one is Tuesdays at 8. So tomorrow on my podcast on Detroit is Different network on YouTube, I'm going to be interviewing Maurice Carney of Friends of the Congo. We're going to have a conversation there about the work that they're doing to help um, Congolese folks help themselves to, resist. And so, what does that look like? Well, it looks like us looking into a little bit of the history of the conflict, but then also looking at corporations and the part that they play, and some of the ways in which Friends of the Congo is mitigating what's going on there. So if so, join me over there. That's tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Detroit is Different podcast network. Look for the Piper Carter podcast. And I have the show saved over there. So go on ahead over there tomorrow at 8. But today, we're on Black Power Media. This is Beyond Breaking Barriers. So this is my Monday show where we talk about women in hip hop. And so shouts out to the entire Black Power Media pantheon and family. I'll get right away, to giving some shout outs like right at the top. So I want to say what's up, James, Quaker Anarchist, and hopefully John Kemper. Okay. Oh, there you go. All right, perfect. So um the show title for today comes from an article that I told y'all I'd be reading all these articles and stuff, guys. So the article is called Female Cultural Identity in the Formative Years of Hip Hop Culture. Um, that word female is annoying, but that's the language that the person that wrote the article used. And so this article was written by Etienne Andrade Torres. So shouts out to you at San Diego State University. They are an undergraduate student. So this is, them working on some things. I actually lived through this era. I think this person did not. And so it's very interesting to me. I like looking at when the way younger people look at history. So it's like that's cool. So let me see I guess what I can do is begin by putting the article up on the screen So I'm going to put the article up on the screen so that everyone can, you know, go ahead and check it out with us. And here we go. Okay. So you guys could kind of follow along with me while I'm reading. So, okay, here we go. All right. Um, so this article is pretty short. As you can see, it's just a few pages. Scrolling down to the end just to show y'all how short it is. So how many pages is this? It's only 16 pages. So, but I really like the topic, and I was thinking I could use it just as like an idea starter to have a conversation about it. So the article starts out um, with a excerpt from Joan Morgan's book, When Chicken Heads Come Home to Roost, My Life as a Hip Hop Feminist. Some of us know that work very well. It's a very classic piece. And so this first part is called The Early Fly Girls Before Bitches. Nobody even talk about sexism in hip hop back in the day. All an MC wanted then was to be the baddest in battle, have a fly girl, and take rides in his fresh OJ. If we were being objectified, and I guess we were, nobody cared. At the time, there seemed to be greater sins than being called ladies, as in all the ladies in the house say, ow. So that's the quote. If you have read Joan Morgan, go ahead and, put like Joan Morgan in the chat, like put Joan Morgan in the chat if you've read her. Okay, boom. So this article starts off here. In 1977, a teenage girl with the name Sharon Jackson became the first female MC, master of ceremony, to perform on a microphone during the early and formative years of what became to be known as rap music and hip hop culture. She was known as Sha Rock. And with that name, she performed in numerous parties along her male crew called Funky Four, later known as Funky Four plus one more. Even before her rhymes went on record, Sha Rock was well known in the emerging cultural scene of the South Bronx and other New York boroughs. Following the late 70s, other female MCs emerged along after Sha Rock. Early female rappers emerged with a cultural expression that was dominated by male performers and took place in marginalized urban space. One can analyze this emergence of women in the male dominated hip hop culture as a form of female empowerment or challenge against male dominance. But it can be more complex than that. In the early years of hip hop music, a female rapper was not a soloist. She needed the support of a crew that was composed of a party organizer, DJs, MCs, breakdancers, and even security in order to build street fame within the city. For this reason, themes of early female rapper identity or expression are complex, since the intersection between male and female performers was close and often supporting. Okay, I'll go down to there. It says females rappers experience and expression through hip hop culture can produce complex interpolations within the realm of feminist. Journalist Joan Morgan offers a perspective to understand women's experience in hip hop culture by understanding the characteristics of hip hop generation. Morgan explains that the African American hip hop generation was raised in a post civil rights, post feminist, and post soul period. For this reason, she argues hip hop feminism should focus on keeping it real and should embrace the gray and conflicting areas that occur between Black male and Black female relations. Morgan calls for a hip hop feminism that explores the gray and conflicting areas in life because in these spaces is where one's perception or analysis becomes more real. Hip hop feminism should be one whose occasional hypocrisy, contradictions, and trifeness guarantee us at least few trips to the Terror Dome, forcing us to finally confront what we'd rather all hide from. Hip hop feminism offers a complex but frank view towards the different Black female experiences within hip hop culture. Morgan explores her experience as a woman raised in the hip hop generation, surrounded by beats and lyrics that shaped her identity to encounter life as a Black young woman. So, the footnote here, um, on that footnote credits Joe Morgan and Hip Hop Feminist, and that's the joint, the Hip Hop Studies Reader, edited by Murray Foreman and Mark Anthony Neal. And that was in 2004 on page 281. So I will say that MC Shaw Rock has said that she wasn't like the only one. I think she was the one that had been like recorded. You know what I mean? But I've seen several interviews where she's said that she wasn't the only one. I want to also say that she has a podcast. Shouts out to MC Shaw Rock. She has a podcast. And in her podcast, it's really incredible. She interviews all of these legendary hip hop artists and gets a lot of, really good tea and stories and stuff. And one in particular that I really, really love, and I would really love to play it here, but I really don't want to get a copyright strike. But I'll encapsulate it to say she interviewed DMC, Run DMC. So she interviewed DMC, and DMC talks about, y'all probably heard this. It's a pretty well-known interview, but he talks about how he got his echo chamber style that he did from her, and he uh goes through like explaining how he developed it. But if you go to her podcast, you can hear um the interview. I recommend going to her podcast. The interviews there are really intriguing. They're very good. I love them. And she was from the time, so they're being very candid with her. Also, too, um, if you so there is a mixtape artist. Let me see. I'll go back and look for it, but the actual show mixtape where she did the echo chamber is available on YouTube as well. So I had them saved, and then like my computer shut down. I had all type of technology stuff. I had to restart. So apologize that all my links had to get like reloaded. I got to go back and try to find like the actual link. But what I'll do, I'll share them on social media. So any hootie Rudy tootie, maybe I'll go through and read a little bit more. So they move on. The emergence of recorded artists with solo albums like Queen Latifah or MC Lyte developed cultural spaces to discuss how life is as a Black young woman. Scholar Trisha Rose in Never Trust a Big Button to Smile, and that's the joint Hip Hop Studies Reader, argues that female rappers provide a cultural space for young Black women by challenging sexual objectification and resisting a white feminist discourse. Recorded female rappers opened up this cultural space through the challenges presented in their lyrics, like in Latifah's Ladies First, and through performances. Rose achieves these conclusions through textual and role analysis of their lyrics, and also oral histories from the female rappers themselves. The predominant evidence in Rose's essay is based on rappers' lyrics, image, and musical videos. In a similar manner, scholar Cheryl L. Keyes argues that female rappers, through lyrics and performance, refute, deconstruct, and reconstruct alternative visions of their identity. Keys explores four different female rapper attitudes called Queen Mother, Fly Girl, Sister with Attitude, and Lesbian. She analyzes how rappers portrayed these attitudes through their lyrics, images, music videos, and interviews. Keys emphasizes her analysis in the interpretive community that takes into account the perspectives of Black female cultural producers, scholars, and consumers. Even though she centers her analysis on the interpretive community, her argument is based more on lyrics, images, and interviews. Similar to Trisha Rose, Keys concludes that female rappers did challenge male rappers' misogynistic attitudes within the hip hop scene. These different attitudes were a way to communicate their views regarding identity, socio history, and esoteric belief shared by young African American women. So Rose and Keys argue that female rapper kept a dialogue with the community they were representing, the female Black youth. Through this dialogue, recorded artists took a public stance on different issues regarding gender relations and social justice. So that comes from Keys empowering self-making choices, creating spaces, Black female identity via rap music performance. And that's the Joint Hip Hop Studies Reader. And so it says the rapper audience dialogue had diverse themes during the recorded artists era of hip hop music. Scholars Laylee Phillips, Carrie Reddick Morgan, and Dion Steffens break down different themes in the lyrics of different female rappers. Through the different rappers they analyzed, they found the following themes. 1. Talking back to men in defense of women. 2. Women's empowerment, self-help, and solidarity. And 3. Defense of Black men against the larger society. Parallel to Joan Morgan's A Call for Hip Hop Feminism that keeps it real, these authors conclude that the discussed themes illustrate a complex street level feminism and womanism. The evidence provided in this essay focus on rappers' lyrics and music videos, and it is examined through textual, visual, and role analysis. During the 80s and 90s and throughout, female rappers emerged as soloist recording artists. Some reached the top hit lists, produced music videos, and had visual media as a prime source of promotion. The themes of street level feminism and womanism materialized during this period of hip hop culture. The limits of the essays presented here is the predominant analysis of female rappers from the 90s. Few authors present rappers from the 80s and none from the late 70s. In Trisha Rose's Never Trust a Big Button to Smile, the main subjects of her argument are Salt and Pepper, Queen Latifah, and MC Lyte. These artists comprised the rap scene of the late 80s and the whole decade of the 90s. The same is with the case with Keys, empowering self, making choices, creating spaces, where the four categories of Queen Mother, Fly Girl, Sister with an Attitude, and Lesbian are illustrated by artists who range from 1987 to the 90s. Also, Keys focused on Salt and Pepper and Queen Latifah. In oppositional consciousness within an oppositional realm, the main subjects for the three different themes that illustrates a street level feminism and womanism in rap and hip hop are also predominantly from the late 80s and the 90s. Even though these scholars discuss the existence of female rappers since the early and formative years of hip hop, this period has a second class status in relation to their central argument. One of the main reasons why scholars, critics, and writers have focused on this period is because before the late 80s, there were few female rappers that produced a solo album and used visual media as a promoting tool. Also, between the late 80s and the decade of the 90s, female rappers had more access to produce, distribute, and sold millions of copies of their lyrical expression. The emphasis on this period shows the experience of recorded artists and not the women who experienced the early formative years of hip hop. For this reason, a focus on the female experience in hip hop culture during the late 70s through the late 80s could illustrate how early rappers shaped and performed their identities and opened up cultural spaces in a male dominated cultural scene. Um, Let me just check the chat real quick because I've been reading a lot. Peace to um a scribe called Blessed, to KJS Akuma, and to Yipper99. So the name of the article is Female Cultural Identity in the Formative Years of Hip Hop Culture from 75 to 85. So far I've just been kind of reading a little bit. I'm just going through basically like the intro of the article and just kind of giving it a little bit of context about what the article is going to be about. I will give my commentary. I won't like just read, but I wanted to like, get us into the article a little bit. So that's why I'm reading. In the difficult task of defining the complex concept of culture, anthropologist Roy A. Rappaport noted that one of the characteristics of culture is a set of adaptive strategies for surviving within an ecological setting. Hmm. I think I like that. The early years of hip hop culture can be seen as a set of adaptive strategies to an urban setting characterized by marginalization. The pillars of expression in hip hop culture, rap, DJ, breaking, and graffiti, are a form of adaptive responses that use the urban environment to project culture. For example, DJs used big garbage cans as speakers. Graffiti artists achieved fame by bombing, painting subway wagons, and during street parties, breakdancers and rappers used the urban public space to practice and perform. Hip hop culture followed these he said Darwinian patterns of cultural expression. In the case of emergence of female youth cultural expression, this can be considered an expression that went through, what does it say? A double or more difficult adaptation. Female cultural performers during the formative years of hip hop had to adapt to the challenges of being in an urban setting characterized by marginalization and also an urban scene dominated by male performers. By using textual, visual, role analysis, along with oral histories, one can explore the different types of expression, attitudes, and identities that characterize early female rapper. The sources that can illustrate female rappers' experiences are song lyrics, oral histories, and a few movies. Lyrically, early female rappers approached a Black young community without a direct discussion of racism, sexism, or any other form of discrimination. Within these issues present in their environment, female rappers use boastful tones and competition to construct their expression, image, and identity. Through a competitive and boastful tone, early female rappers embodied a hip hop feminism that explored areas between extreme sisterhood and brotherhood, presented a womanhood based on skill competition and not women's gender issues, and delineated both the positive and negative characteristics of male attitudes. Shaw Rock, I'm still reading, as the first female MC, emerged in the late 70s and became part of the male group called the Funky Four, then called Funky Four Plus One More, along with the crew of DJ Breakdown and DJ Baron. The crew began to organize numerous parties in the South Bronx during the late 70s and the first years of the 80s. Even though the group The Funky Four Plus One More recorded few songs, the MCs performed in numerous parties they organized. Many of the female rappers that emerged in the formative years of hip hop also belonged to crews that organized parties based on their performance on live settings. With this in mind, the analysis of how early female rappers presented their identity through rap and hip hop culture is a challenge due to the limited amount of recordings, photographs, and videos. On the other hand, analyzing the few recordings, videos, and oral histories of early female rappers can produce a vision of how these young women express their identity through early hip hop culture. Just like Trisha Rose and Cheryl L. Keys concluded, the early female rappers may have been conversing with their own community and providing a raw cultural space for the young Black female urban community. Aspiring to become a female rapper in a cultural environment dominated by male performance became a challenge, but not a barrier. In the oral histories of Shah Rock, the challenge of adapting to a cultural scene with no example of female performers is explained. She recalls, when I started, there was no female MCs. There was no one to pace yourself behind. We were all testing it. In her narrative of how she became an MC, there is no commentary of an event where a male DJ or rapper criticized or discriminated her just for being a woman. Instead, in the narrative of DJ Breakout, the main DJ of Shah Rock's crew, there is a mild discrimination towards her just for being a woman. DJ Breakout narrates the first moment he tested Shah Rock's skills. Shah Rock said, I can talk too. I was, well, no, you can't. I was like, well, no, you can't. There's never a girl MC. And then she started practicing. So we had the first girl MC. Here we can see an absence of an aggressive discrimination against Shah Rock and her skills based on her gender. Instead, the oral history indicates that there was a doubt based on her gender, but she overcame that challenge by proving her skills as an MC. I want to see what y'all think about that for a minute because y'all might be talking. Peace, Zenzabel. So, looking at this article is called Female Cultural Identity in the Formative Years of Hip Hop Culture from 1975 to 1985. And it's the article by Etienne Andrade Torres. So just kind of reading a little bit, and I think maybe I'll just continue. So MC Queen Lisa Lee has a similar story to Shah Rock. Both of them emerged during the late 70s, were part of a male crew, became recognized in the scene of the South Bronx, and recorded only 4 songs. Lisa Lee was part of a hip hop pioneer, we have to say his name, Africa Bambaata's crew called Zulu Nation and the Cosmic Force. Just like Shah Rock, she performed during numerous parties and between 1978 and the early 80s. In her status as one of the few female rappers, Lisa Lee recalls that during a rappers convention, she encountered a difficulty based on her gender. When they have MC conventions and all the MCs come to compete against each other, they start taking off their shirts and their pants to win. We can't do that. We don't really get in it. To the crowd, what you say? We don't really get in it. To the crowd loves that. How are we going to take off our skirts? The challenge of pleasing an audience within expectations set by male performance. Indifference on taking their clothes off was experienced by Queen Lisa Lee. However, this was not a concrete obstacle for Lisa Lee since she continued on with her career and street fame. However, Lisa Lee had the power over the audience as soon as her male crew began to play the beats and she began to rhyme towards the party audience. Even though she noticed these gender differences, Lisa Lee kept her rhyme with boastful tone that spoke of her as simply the best rapper. So, these quotes and things come out of Frick, Jim, and Ahern, Charlie, yes, yes, y'all. The Experience Music Project Oral Histories of Hip Hop's First Decade. That's from 2002. Nancy Guevara, Women Writing, Rapping, Breaking, and Dropping Science, Critical Essays on Rap Music and Hip Hop Culture. Hmm. And that was from 1996. Together, Shah Rock and Queen Lisa Lee represent an early form of a female rapper identity and attitude. Their lyrics are similar in that both of them, just like their male rappers, highlighted their qualities of rapping and partying. Their attitude presented in their rhymes is characterized by a boastful and egotistic tone. This should not be a surprise since the first male MCs, breakdancers, DJs, and graffiti artists developed their skills through competition and demonstrating who the best was in the cultural scene. So Sha Rock and Lisa Lee followed this cultural expression by demonstrating that they were the best rappers. Excuse me. In the lyrics of Sha Rock, most of her rhymes start with the I and follows a statement that gives her credibility as an MC. For example, in the song That's the Joint, she raps, I can't be stopped. I would hit the top. I'm listed on the column that's fast defined. I can be your nurse. I'm qualified to talk about respect. I'm bad. I can say I've been in this race since the day I was born. This boastful tone in her rhyming is also helped by the male rappers in her crew when they scream, That's the joint. She's the best female rapper in this town. Here we can see that one of the first female MC's attitudes was a boastful, skilled, qualified girl with a rapping style. She speaks towards her audience with confidence and as the best female rapper. So then it goes into gender differences were even more visible to an all-female crew of DJs, rappers, breakdancers, and graffiti artists. The first female rappers and DJ crews were the Mercedes Ladies in the South Bronx in 1977. They were a non-recorded female crew that gained street fame along with Lisa Lee and MC Sha Rock. One of the MCs among the seven young ladies crew was Sherry Cher, who recalls that during their career, the Mercedes ladies encountered unwelcome male attitudes during their public shows, attempts to sabotage their shows, and lack of monetary recognition for their shows. During one show, the power suspiciously went off, Sherry Cher remembers. We were left standing there, and the crowd was booing us. And as soon as the power was back on, they won the party. They won the party over. They won the party over. I'm sorry, they won the party people over with the lyrics and rhymes from We're the MERCEDES, the girls you know with the most finesse. This absence of a public discussion in their lyrics about the asymmetry between male domination and the undermining of female crews is not a signal of young female submissive attitudes. Instead, the fact that through beats and rhymes they gained recognition and approval was a way to empower themselves by performing a fly girl attitude. This attitude was characterized by claiming and demonstrating how they were the best ones with the most finesse. We have to keep in mind that at the same time, there was an absence of highly feminist and social justice themes in the lyrics of Sha Rock and Lisa Lee or the Mercedes Ladies. There is also an absence of an emphasis in their body and sexuality to appeal to the masses. It was about who could command the crowd and connect with the party people. In general, that was hip hop though. How to uh win the crowd over. That was initially hip hop culture. Like rocking the crowd was hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? Like that's that Rakim and Eric B. Talk about that. Like I think in when we look at where so-called hip hop is right now, it's so commercial. You know what I mean? That people just think about like Spotify selling albums or whatever. But in the formation of hip hop as a culture, and even you know places where people are more purists, it's all about rocking the crowd. Like, and that's what MC is: the microphone controller, the master of the ceremony. You know what I'm saying? Like, move the crowd. Like, can you move the crowd? Can you get the people out their seats? Can you make them put their hand to the right or to the left? You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? So that was really what hip hop was about. I want to hear what Zenzabel said. So let me put your comment up here. You said, I hear what the writer is saying about proving oneself as a female rapper, but it sometimes seems like women had to rap like dudes in order to gain respect from the guys. Precisely. Right, precisely. Um do 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 do. Okay. So this boastful tone is also expressed by Queen Lisa Lee in one of her few recorded songs. In the song Zulu Nation Throws Down, she speaks towards her audience with singularity and confidence. So put your hands in the air and listen to me, because you listen to the voice of MC Lisa Lee. Don't play no games, don't bite no style. We're going to make you want to yell, scream, and shout. These are the devastating words that you never heard before. I'm Lisa Lee. Ha, I got rhymes galore. Even though in her language, Lisa Lee uses the I only 3 times, she does talk about herself by the use of the we, referring to herself and the Zulu Nation crew. The boastful and egotistical tone appears in her rhymes because she presumes how she and her crew are capable of leading a party and put you in a music trance. Also, one of the few times when she uses the I is to describe her rap technique as a galore of rhymes. Consequently, she clarifies that she does not bite no style, meaning she has an original rapping style and has not borrowed from anyone. Both in Sharrock and Queen Lisa Lee, we see the early female rappers that use their boastful and egotistical style to defend their originality and their competency to perform, lead a party, and rhyme. Again, that was the culture of hip hop, was originality. One of the worst sins of hip hop back in my day was biting. Like that, like people would catch beat downs for biting. Seriously. It was like, I guess it's the equivalent of getting sued for your intellectual, taking someone's intellectual property. But, that was like terrible. I still think it's terrible. Forgive me. Um, it's interesting in these days and times because all the music sounds exactly the same. I hate to sound like an elder, but I really don't know the difference most of the time. Mm, but that was the culture in general of hip hop, right? Like being original, being creative, trying to, think about who you were and project that. You know what I'm saying? And that it couldn't be like anything that was already out, you know. Um, so it says this identity expressed through hip hop music and rap can fall into the category of a fly girl. So Cheryl L. Keys explains what are the characteristics of a fly girl? This is interesting because when, again, back in my day, a fly girl was someone who like had that style. I guess they would call it swag finesse. Um, where n- you could wear something simple. Back in the day, it was like Lees and Latigras and like Pumas and shell toes and stuff, but it was the way that might have flipped your collar. There was this way that the collar was done where it was like pressed, and then just this little thing here would just like open like that, and you would button up your collar, like it was like 2 buttons here on your Latigra, and you would button up the 2 buttons, and then when you pressed your collar, so like it would stick up in the back, and then the little flap here would just like open and it would stay pressed just like that, would stay so crispy. And then like your leaves or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like you would color coordinate, and you might like get your leaves so they fit a certain way, and depending on where you were, but some folks would take the safety pins and like safety pin them. Some people would have their grandmother like sew them. Some people would have their grandma like sew the crease in, because back in that day, with like you would have a crease. You know what I'm saying? So you wanted creases, like you wanted your hem to be creased. You know what I'm saying? You starch, and you wanted like the crease down the front of your pants to be like very crisp. So you either really press that crease in, or some people would get super creative and they would like have their, like I said, their grandmother would like sew it so it would be out. You know what I mean? And then sometimes they would get real fancy and they would have the double crease on the front. And then sometimes they would also have the same in the back. Um, but anywho, really, I'm getting into it. But we would have buttons, and I remember you would have like the Michael Jackson buttons or the Prince buttons or Madonna buttons or whatever. There was mad buttons. Um, and you would have your buttons all over all over your, like, your jean jacket or whatever. But I'm just saying that to say that fly girls. Oh, also too, you would have your lip gloss. Oh, you had to have your bangs. Your bangs had to be perfect. And sometimes you have your part. That was when a part, for a black girl, a straight perfect part was the equivalent of like the girls today talking about these bundles. If you could, if your parts were like perfect, I mean perfect, like no strands or whatever, you're the parts, that was like, that was fly girls, had perfect parts. Um, some of them, I mean, now, like, I don't think baby hair ever went away. It, like, either you really thought baby hair was cool or you was not feeling baby hair. Same thing with today. But I don't think baby hair ever went away. But they used to use Vaseline, if I'm not mistaken. And then you would have, either you would buy lip gloss like the Cherry Wet and Wild, or you would put Vaseline on your lips so it would be like popping, and a little bit of Vaseline on your eyelids and stuff like that. This is like, youth culture. So you have to remember, like, little girls, anyway. So this is stuff I remember. My era is a little bit after the 70s, but I'm just thinking we borrowed a lot of that stuff from the 70s. I mean, the 70s was like jellies. What else was it? Yeah, it was like you had jellies and I think Jordache, Calvin Klein's, stuff like that. But the Calvin Klein's fit super perfect. You still had, iron and creases. Everything was still fitting, like super fitted, perfectly. But when you think of fly girl, it's like someone who like has a really distinct style, and she like perfects her style. You could tell she spends a lot of time on her style. Um, but she also would have a swag, right? So the fly girl had a super swag. And by swag, I mean like, um, you know, she had like, the way she would say the words, the lingo. She was super cool. She could blow a big bubble, just like cool stuff that was cool for the 70s, like being able to blow a big, big, big bubble with like some bubble yum. Um, what else? There were just like, it was like simple stuff. And it was like, oh, that's a fly girl, because you could tell, you know what I mean? Some, if they were a little bit older, then they probably borrowed a little bit from the disco era. So fly girls also had some, like, you were coming out of like the Afro period. So some would have the like feather. You remember the feather? It was like you had the part and the feather. You know what I'm saying? So you might have a barrette, or you might, or you would, your hair would feather out. You know what I'm saying? So, or you have a mushroom, but whatever it was, your hair was perfect, perfect, perfect. Um. Anyway, I probably went on a tangent. These are things I'm thinking about. Let me check the chat to see if people remember any of this stuff. Um. It looks like y'all do. Um. What else do you say? Okay, yeah, all right. So I'm gonna put this one up. So Akuma said, no, I get it. Mainstream music now is getting very generic, and being original is not encouraged. right? Right. You remember those days, Zenzabel, with the colored lead? Yeah. I'm gonna snitch on myself, y'all. I used to like not so I only got like $5 allowance a week. And I they had in New York. So I grew up between New York and Detroit. In my intermediate school days, I lived with my dad in New York City on the Upper West Side while it was becoming gentrified on 84 between Amsterdam and Broadway. If you know that, there's a school, a high school called Brandeis. It was on the corner. And um, I went to IS 44. And I would see all the kids from Brandeis. They would be at the schoolyard or whatever. A lot of the rock steady crew kids went to that school. Um, but I would, we on our way to school, see all the fly styles and things like that. On Broadway, there was a VIM and a Gap. And I remember that so the VIM, if y'all are not from New York City, it's your typical like urban like type of store that sold like all the popular clothes that all the kids like. So it's mostly Lee's Latigras, the fat laces. They would have the lip gloss, all the cool, the bomber jackets, the lumberjack, like the sheepskin, all your stuff that you would want, and like inexpensive, for the time, but um man, I would go in there and have y'all ever seen Paris is Burning? What did the kids say? Mopping. Man, but you know what? This is before they had to censor and before they had cameras. They didn't have all that. Um it was hilarious. I'm probably sure that store clerk was looking out for me. She never I would go there like every week and just mop up mad stuff. And I would buy the lip gloss and the shoelaces. I would buy like different color shoelaces, this bright blue mascara, and it was like a bright like neon blue mascara, and the cherry wet and wild lip gloss, and like whatever different color laces, right? And I would just go in the dressing room and put on like mad like Lee's Latigra layers. You know what I'm saying? But she never like would, she would just I don't know, she would just charge me for the laces and the lip gloss. And I was thinking I was getting away with something. But you know what? She probably knew or whatever. But yeah, I stayed fresh in school. Because that was a hip hop thing, like mad colors, mad colors, mad colors. That was my thing. It's hilarious to me now. If my family sees this, they're gonna be embarrassed and be like, "Why'd you say that on the internet?" But statute limitations is done. Um, what to say? So Zenzibo said, true commercial music sounds the same, but it seems like record execs demand that, right? It's crazy. What else was there? So Yipper99 says, was the collar all the up after? What do you mean? No baby hair. Yes, gotta have the perfect part. Vaseline, ruffle shirts. So the big bamboo earrings though came in the like early 80s. Like I want to say the big bamboo earrings probably came, what was that, 86, 87, something like that. So around thereabouts. Let's see. Kuma says, not that there was a materialism with the promotion, say these are Kango, but and Kangos and Adidas. Yeah, we used to be wearing all them Kangos too. And Adidas. Yep. You're right. Yep, or you wasn't alive. This old people stuff we talking about. Akuma. Oh, the oh, so there's still a VIM in Bed-Stuy, huh? Yeah, VIM. Remember the commercial? VIM. uh, what else? Says Akuma says okay. It was only a few years before I was born myself, but still influenced by the 80s. All that mom used to play the 80s music. So Quaker Anarchist says I'm a Gen X and remember those in my blue collar white high school, and we were the next neighborhood over from Prince's neighborhood. I'm 5 years younger. So you're from Minneapolis. Okay, yeah. Um, so I'm gonna keep, yeah, this it's all like memories. Okay, what's this? VIM isn't popular anymore. It's just a discount store now, but they still sell everything. But you know what's funny? It was a discount store then. But people didn't have like endorsements and brand deals and all this kind of thing. So everybody was just like, I don't know, it was like some hood stuff. It's hard to explain. But yeah. So let me go. I'm gonna go down here. Let's go here. It says 4 years after the rising street fame of Sha Rock and Queen Lisa Lee, a rap battle developed in 1984 by the appearance of a diss or answer record from a 14-year-old girl in Queens, Lolita Shantae Gooden, who appropriated the name Roxanne Shantae, produced one of the first diss records in what resulted in numerous other records based on the image of an imaginary new girl on the block called Roxanne. The Roxanne Wars began with the record Roxanne Roxanne by a three male MC crew named UTFO. The record talks about the new girl of the block that acts with indifference when these three guys approach her. The UTFO crew talk among themselves, saying that Roxanne is a stuck up girl for not falling into their tricks. Then, upon hearing this song and meeting up with hip hop producer Marley Marl, Lolita Shantae appropriated the alias Roxanne and takes the role of defending Roxanne's reputation. The song called Roxanne's Revenge ridicules the different personalities of the UTFO crew and their courtship techniques. In the song, the language that Roxanne Shantae uses to describe herself is similar to that of Sha Rock and Queen Lisa Lee. Roxanne Shantae first emphasizes her skills and qualities to gain credibility as an MC. The words she uses to describe herself are, I'm considered the best. I'm just devastating. I have the freshest rhymes, and I'm conceited, never beaten, never heard of defeated. With this boastful tone, Shantae ridicules the way they approach Roxanne and portrays her as a knowledgeable girl. So then after that came the educated rapper, one of the UTFO MCs. He said, yeah, your mother's name is Mary, but all he want to do is just bust a cherry. Let me explain to him what he should do. He should be like me, a fly MC. Don't ever have to bite. We're always right. Well, let me tell you something else about the doctor, too. He ain't really cute and he ain't great. He don't even know how to operate. Even though she mocks the different personalities of these MCs, the Fly Girl MC ends up describing the qualities she looks in a man. You need to be out there, get yourself a job. Let me let you know you're not a real man. Cause a Roxanne needs a man, and yes, someone fresh who always address someone, yeah, who will never fess, no coke up your nose, no dope in your vein, and then it won't cause no kind of pain. The lyrical expression of Roxanne Shantae gives insight into the other side of UTFO's stuck up girl and presents her as a knowledgeable and fly girl. Following this record, the response songs emerged throughout New York. One in particular was Sparky D, who defends UTFO and criticizes Shantae. The way Sparky D presents herself also follows the characteristics of a fly girl. I'm Sparky D, top female MC. My rap is so strong, tougher than leather. I'm different and gifted and better than terrific. I'm the toughest female to ever be born. The interesting thing about this record is that not only she presents herself as the best fly MC, but Sparky D attacks Roxanne Shante by criticizing her lyrical skills, age, and false claims of being a fly MC. Sparky D notes, and to disrespect the crew, referring to UTFO crew, wasn't cool to me because they made you famous, the talk of the town. But now, Roxanne, you look like a clown because you're nothing but a natty, sassy, crack female. A fool, a joke is what you are. I don't think you would like to battle with me because I'm dynamite. Your wacky voice will just be getting thinner because I'm a champ and you're just a scam. The wording and tone of Sparky D illustrates a woman that is willing to compete with other MC Young girls in order to prove who the best rapper is the best rapper. In this way, early female MCs competed with each other as a way to improve and prove their skills. The absence of a sisterhood in the lyrics portrays a womanhood based on skills, competition, and dissing. Patriarchy. Others, either male or female. The tones on both songs are characterized by hard staccato rhymes delivered with hard beats. This tone and sound increases the sense of competition and frankness of these female MCs. Let me put this on. So the battle continued with the record produced by Spider D, Sparky D's producer, and Marley Marl, which is Roxanne Shantae's producer, with both female MCs battling on the record. I don't know if y'all saw that album cover. The song called Round One, and besides criticizing their rhyming skills, it is characterized by constant attacks from both MCs regarding their looks, age, promiscuous relations, capacity to satisfy a man, and wishes of death and tragic destinies. It's basically what battle rap is right now. On the cover of the record, both rappers appear with boxing gloves directed at each other and looking straight into the camera. It is pertinent to say that this record was a friendly collaboration between Shantae and Sparky D. In an interview with Shaw Rock in 2011, Sparky D explained the nature of dissing during her time as an MC. She explains how the rap game was about competing and critiquing the other through rhymes. But at the end of the day, both rappers leave in good terms. Similar to this insight on the role of battling an MC, during an interview made in 2002, old school female rapper Pabli Poo reflects on her first impression of Sparky D. If y'all know Pabli Poo from the Zulu Nation. So this chick wanted to battle Shaw Rock, but Shaw is not the dissing kind. She was more the group type MC. So I was like, I can get a quick 1-2, 1-2 real fast. This rhyme I made up at a moment was like, she thinks she fly with that black mini skirt running around screaming, it hurt. She trying to run this game and come at my girl, thinks she all that. She need to take a look in the mirror and take off that raccoon hat. So I went home purposely writing stuff just for her, hoping she would call me out. I even challenged her later, but she still didn't want no parts of me and Shaw Rock. Um, what's this? So this was just like a footnote there where it says that, Shaw Rock interviewed Sparky D in a retrospect to women in hip hop's on Sirius Backspin XM podcast audio, and it aired on November the 10th, 2012. And there's a link here. I'm gonna throw this link in. Throw this link in the chat for y'all. Um, so y'all have that as a resource for you. Um, but she didn't want no parts of me, and Shah Rock ignored her. She just went on after somebody else. I later found out she was cool people and she was just trying to make a name for herself. As we can see, Sparky D initiated her career during the peak of Shah Rock, Queen Lisa Lee, Pebly Pooh, and other MCs. Her way to develop street fame was through competition and battling. Sparky D, Roxanne Shante, and other female MCs who participated in the Roxanne Wars used competition as a quality of a young female MC. This competition was not a direct stance against men's domination of hip hop cultural expression. Instead, these female MCs opened up a cultural space through competition with one another and other male MCs in communication with their audience. So, young black males and females, these female rappers did not express, at least lyrically, themes of sisterhood or brotherhood. Instead, they proved their skills with both male and female rappers who were willing to compete. This non gendered competition can be considered an in between because it is not a full defense of young black women nor young black men. The only defense appearing in the lyrics from Shah Rock through Sparky D is mostly towards them proving their qualities to move crowds, produce better rhymes, and capacity to compete with any female or male rapper. Um, as we have seen, there are two major waves of female MCs, the ones that emerge in the late 70s who rhyme with a boastful tone, and the emergence of female MCs that gained recognition through battle rhymes that predominated during the Roxanne Wars in 84. These two waves of boastful tones and battle rap had a profound effect on their listeners. So Cheryl Keys and Trisha Rose argued on how recorded artists from the 90s open up cultural spaces where they maintain a dialogue with the Black youth community. The predecessors of the 90s female rappers also opened cultural spaces and maintained dialogue. So the dialogue was provocative and innovative to the Black female teenagers. So Mimi Valdez, who was the editor at large of Vibe magazine, recalls listening to UTFO's Roxanne hit in Manhattan regarding the storyline of the stuck up hot girl chased by three guys. Valdez remembers, we knew the same scenario took place every 9.2 seconds in the ghettos all over the world. And that's precisely why we laughed at the brothers' antics in the songs. Then she describes her reaction when she heard the response record called Roxanne's Revenge. We were all excited because it was so different. In the same manner, scholar, journalist, and former MC Christina Varon reflects on the influence of Lisa Lee during her years as a teenage rapper. I aspired to the standards of style and skill set by the male MCs, but that was before I heard the self possessed poetics of a young woman named Lisa Lee. I was more than a passive listener to hip hop. And finally, I knew I wasn't the only woman who felt that way. In these two examples, both Varan and Valdez recalled how early female rappers opened up a cultural space among the female youth and provided a common identity within the space of hip hop culture. The fly girl attitude was one of dominant identities transmitted by the early female MCs and was a constant dialogue who reached this community through performances or local radio. I'm going to go back over here to the chat because y'all have been saying some stuff, and I want to just make sure that I'm checking in with y'all. Let me see. What did you say? I like this little story you shared here. So Zanzibar said, my mom let me buy leaves because they were uh, relatively affordable, but I never got the sheepskin, the leather, or the bamboo earrings because we just couldn't afford them and I was too cowardly to jack them. Okay, listen, I never had the sheepskin either. The sheepskin was expensive. The sheepskin was expensive. I never had it either. And I didn't have the courage to take it. The collar all the way up reversed. I still don't know what you mean, Yipper. Mopping. Oh, so if y'all saw um Paris is Burning, when he says, "Oh, we used to go mopping." Mopping is a term when you go to the store and you mop up everything. It's called mopping. Uh Wait, you thought the bamboo earrings came sooner? The bamboo? I feel like the bamboo, y'all might have had them in Brooklyn. I don't know, but I know in Manhattan, them bamboo, they, I don't, we wasn't really doing bamboo in Manhattan. So, but y'all could have been doing them in Brooklyn. I don't know. You remember back in the day, Manhattan and Brooklyn were different. Not now. The whole world's the same. The whole world is Walmart. But back in the day, Brooklyn was very different, than Manhattan. So y'all might have had them. You know what I mean? Right, Cazelles, right, the whole situation. Um, I'm just looking. What did Quaker Anarchist say? Quaker Anarchist said, "You always have to tell my one claim to fame is Prince's mom was my junior high school guidance counselor. She was super nice. I didn't know about her son yet. Had to wait a couple more years for his first album. That's dope, Quaker Anarchist. Okay, over there in Minneapolis. What else is there? Let's see. Um, right. So yeah, Roxanne Shante is an amazing storyteller. Um, she is a great storyteller. She's hilarious. I'm on her social media like probably every day. She's really like great, you know. Do 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 do. You got your sheepskin last year. I still never got a sheepskin. I should just get one. Like just because I could never get one. Um so this was the story of the pre-Latifahs and Salt and Peppers and Eves who openly talk about women's empowerment, sexual freedom, and spoke against domestic violence. So early female MCs like Sha Rock or Sparky D provided the setting for these emerging artists. The themes of women's empowerment and gender, they say equality, were achieved momentarily, not by lyrical discussion, but through their actions. MCs in the formative years of hip hop, like Sha Rock, Lisa Lee, Mercedes Lady, Sparky D, and Roxanne Shante, broke the male dominated cultural scene by simply deciding to rap at the party, record, or battle. Their rap maintained a dialogue with young girls who listened in the Bronx, Harlem, Queens, and Manhattan. Why didn't they say Brooklyn? This dialogue advocated a common attitude of the fly girl, whose words describe a girl that knows she is the best there is and has the skills to demonstrate it. This confidence not only was shown in hip hop, but also was embodied as a model to confront life as a young Black girl living in an urban environment characterized by marginalization. So, like I said, it was a very short ditty. I shouldn't use the words ditty, but it was a short little article. Um, and I just, I thought it was super cool because it gave me nostalgia. It just reminded me of my youth. I think that it's very interesting, um conf you know, what the writer was talking about. And I really wanted, what made me pick this article? So for years, for shoot, I want to say my entire life, definitely since I've had my hip hop organization starting in 2000, and you know, when did I formalize the entity? Was it 2016? And definitely from 2008 on, doing the no misogyny, weekly open mic, and definitely just being a hip hop listener all this time. It's like, I guess as a black woman, it's a no brainer for us to say that we really, wanted to see ourselves projected, and um not just represented. At least at a time we did just want representation, but also I've always been thirsty, hungry, for more women. I know that, as a young black girl, I always was listening for the women. They also did not mention, um well, there was a lot of women that weren't mentioned, but um sequence wasn't mentioned here, you know. Maybe, maybe it was a narrow scope. I don't know. It's only 16 pages, the article, but I was I'm telling you, like, I was always looking for, like, where's the women? Where's the women? Where's the women? And for me, there were more women in the 80s, right? Than like, but um then we got, I guess, what you would call representation. And I was always hoping that it would like elevate. And so that period where there was like a drought and they weren't allowing women to like record or make records or be brought out, and it was like when the um when the Nicki Minaj, emerged, I was so annoyed with all of the conversations about there's no women, there's no women, there's no women. Because I'm thinking to myself, was not in this conversation here, or not in 99.9% of the conversations. And oh man, spoiler alert, I'm going to say like a really unpopular opinion, especially if you're in the industry. Women have been a part of hip hop the whole time, and they have had positions of, I want to say positions of power, meaning like record execs, right? That can greenlight projects, um, albums that people are afraid of these women. Okay. And not your regular, I mean like powerful people are afraid of these women in the music industry. And what has always annoyed me, excuse me, is this conversation about where's the women artist, where's the women artist? Because the very people who could make sure that there could have been, all kinds of diversity of voices, were gatekeeping and preventing women from being able to have access, not allowing their records to come through, not allowing their records to be played on radio, not allowing their projects to come out, not allowing their projects to be funded. And so I say it's an unpopular opinion as a feminist, because I feel a lot of pressure as a black woman feminist, or a person who identifies as like a black feminist or a hip hop feminist or a womanist. I feel a lot of pressure, and like, shoot, it might even be fear. But I feel a lot of pressure to like get real honest sometimes, because it's like when we have the like black on black crime conversation as a black, leftist, and it's like you don't want people to say, black on black crime, because you want us to focus on the systemic, aspect. So it becomes difficult to have a conversation about intra-community violence because you don't want to be the person to be like talking about black on black crime because you don't want to sound like like you don't understand the systemic realities. And at the same time, let's get real about intra-community violence. And for me, like being in the industry and witnessing all the atrocities, I'm not saying witnessing crimes, but I'm saying like having a front row seat and also experiencing a lot of trauma and a lot of the just experiencing all of it. It's like there is such, oh man, I have so many words, but let me try to just be clear. The whole Puffy Cassie thing, the reason I chose this article as a, and not, I don't want to say as opposed, because I want to do more shows on gender violence, sexual based violence. I want to do more shows on that, but I feel like in this particular moment there's a lot of places to go look for that stuff. Jamel Hill did some stuff, Mark Lamont Hill, are they related? Did some stuff. I think there's a lot of great people that are talking and doing stuff around that particular aspect. What I really want to look at is what are the ways that we could learn from history so that we could do better, because it feels like the narrative of like men were holding women back. Not to take anything off of patriarchy, it exists. Not to take anything off of these terrible corporations and white men that were really holding people back, and not to take anything off the black men that were holding women back or any of that. I do want to understand, like, as black women, like, how can we have an honest conversation about women's roles in making sure, or understanding women's roles in the patriarchy, in practicing patriarchy, capitalism, white supremacy. Like, how can we as black women like talk about that in a way that is that is not harmful, as it feels like in a, where we're gonna eat each other alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause for me, I'm gonna say a name and it's gonna trigger people, but Sylvia Rome. Okay. I mean, that's one name, right? And not to, put all smoke. Speaking about internalized misogyny isn't contradictory. Okay, thanks, Isabel, because some spaces that I'm in that are extra feminists are like that, that's not, we don't want to talk about that type of thing. But for me, yes, I want to tear down patriarchy, but I personally have experienced and witnessed women with power practice patriarchy, practice, you know, sexism, okay? And in a very disturbing, toxic way. I mean, not that there's like a healthy way, but I mean, I think about like, what we just kind of went through was a very tidbit snippet of, a couple of decades. But I just think back, like, how many women have been held back all these years. I when before I moved to Detroit, like, I mean, right before I moved to Detroit, when I was still living in New York, there was a configuration of women. Um, I'm not gonna name names because I'm be honest, like, hopefully we can heal. So I'm not gonna name the names, but they're very prominent people in the industry. They're women, they're black women, and they have position of power. And they created a space, I'll say, for women. And it was supposed to be like I got invited, like Sylvia Rome was invited, like A lot of women in hip hop had were invited to have conversation with this, this woman who started this organization. And the very first conversations were in a living room. And the conversations were like, no, not Kathy Hughes. I was talking like label. But but and marketing, some label and marketing people. But when the initial conversations were like, okay, come over my house. The invite was like, come to my house. Now, again, these are all very powerful women in the industry. And so they wanted to come together. It was around '08, and they wanted to figure out how, like, what was wrong as to like why there weren't any women. No, it was probably more like 2006 or 7. So it's probably like 2006 or 7. But they wanted to come together to figure out like what was wrong, like why weren't there any women? And it's like this conversation is so frustrating to me because it's like I'm sitting there, right? And at the time, I'm a photographer, so my role is a little, I don't want to say it's like subservient, but what's the word? It's subjective. So what I mean by that is um I wasn't like a person that would like I was a person that would want to be hired, right? So that's what I mean about like my role in that place was like not necessarily a position of power, because I would be a person who, like I was shooting, I was doing stuff with Def Jam and, anyway, you know, long story short, I was confused as to why these women who were like label execs and heads of marketing, I'm talking like, man, I can't name names because I just name a peer. But let's just say all the things, right? Universal Music, Sony, Vivendi, BET, you name it. All these women, and I want to say it's like 20, maybe about 20 women, we're having tea in the conversation. And I'm watching them all be confused about how do we get women? How do we do? And do you know what the center of their conversation was? It wasn't like, let's do better with these lyrics, with representation, figure out how to, make sure that people, it wasn't anything like that. It was like they had beefs with video hoes. They were upset that the video hoes were taking the dudes that they wanted. My brain almost exploded in that place. I did not identify as an activist at the time. I identified as a photographer, an artist at the time, but my brain was exploding because I was trying to figure out like all these people call the shots. Everyone around here is afraid of these women. And they're having a conversation saying that men are holding them back. And I'm not trying to take away from the patriarchy, but I was just trying to figure out what they're talking about. Now, maybe they're talking about the extra powerful white men that were like above them, right? So, okay. But the conversation was like basically that they had to stop video hoes, that the video hoes that they wanted to do these talks with young girls, and they wanted to have like at the time I think it was like Melissa Ford give girls talks about how she turned being a video vixen into like being, rich and famous or whatever. And so they were like, they wanted to have like Hill Harper come and talk to them about being ladylike and things like that. And I'm just thinking like, wow, that was so weird. Like I felt like I was in a Twilight Zone. And I needless to say, they never invited me back. because I was there the whole time. Like, what are y'all talking about? Everybody here runs the industry. This is the whole industry right here. Y'all run Ting. And y'all are saying, y'all are asking yourselves, how do you like stop video hoes from taking your men? How do you it was just all the wrong premise and wrong conversation. It was the weirdest thing. What it has to do with the discussion? Wait, I'm confused. Where are we going? Um, so, uh, oh yeah, hey, what's up, Jamon? Um, what are you saying, Akuma? I remember saying that. Let's see what you said. I remember saying that white supremacy will have more willing black people aided than not, and I think sexism, patriarchy, unfortunately, this is the same way. At least most of the women in power. Um, right. So, like politicians asking why people in power can't make changes. It was such a weird. So, Zanzibar, so I'm not surprised when women are complicit, just like I'm not surprised when black folks are complicit in white supremacy. Damn shame. But there you are. No, I feel you. It's just, I'm telling you, I was so confused. I was so confused because it was like when I'm telling you the power that was in the room, and I could not believe that their premise and conclusion was that we got to do something about the video hose. I remember saying the thing like, y'all created video hose. Y'all created the concept of a video hoe. Like the very fact that a video person, video woman is just present in the video, shaking and dancing and not talking. Y'all could do something about that. If y'all want whoever y'all want to make stars or get green lighted, y'all could do that. It was just really, it was really disheartening. So, you know, I'm saying that to say that when like this series that came out on, oh shoot, is it on Hulu? The Ladies First, and where they talk to Sharack and Queen Latifah and Roxanne and all that, and then yeah. So I appreciate this series. Um, and I mean, I guess you can only get so deep, but I will say, and I'm hoping that it also sparks for us to have more digging and for us to do more listening and get more of these stories out there, because again, as we know with black culture, much of it is oral, right? In the beginning, all this technology and recording and video and all that, that's all new. Most of our history is not recorded, and I really hope that we can get more of these original stories so that we can learn, right? And we can hear, we can uplift, and we can shine a light on the women who were there and help create this culture. Because the stories that we have now are mostly about the women that were recorded. I do like how this article kind of lifts up a couple of the women that were not recorded. And I'm, you know, really looking forward to finding more people to talk about like this period and this era, because there are a lot of women who were participating, right? But they weren't recorded. You know what I mean? And so I guess conversely, in these days we have a lot of recordings. Much of it is like very similar, like a lot of people sound alike and all that, but again, when you look at this era that we're looking at here, a lot of originality, you know um and I don't know, I'm just like really hoping that we can kind of go back to that a little bit. What are you saying? Zanzibar says, but yeah, getting pissed off that men are paying attention to video hoes as though that's the real issue. Is tragic. If dudes are attracted to a certain type of woman, I'm not going to blame the women. But also too, like my thing is like they created the video hoe because like I mean this is all coulda, shoulda, woulda. But if I'm a record executive and I see a treatment for a video that comes on my thing, and they're like, so after she gets on her knees, I'm like, what? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. I'm just like, it's really frustrating. So what are you saying, Akuma? You saying then we gotta question the hardships that would influence a woman to be a vixen in the first place. I would attack capitalism, not them. Yeah, I mean, obviously, yes, capitalism. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, people do, you know, enjoy those videos. So I'm not saying like there should never have been, right, like video vixen, but I'm just saying like we received an abundance. You know what I'm saying? Which um I'm like I have enough of that in my, you know, let me see what else we got. Sensibel in the chat going hard in the paint. Um right. So my thing was like, why are we even talking about video vixens? Like my thing was like all this power in the room. Y'all could put as many people as you want, right? Any rappers, any music producers, any DJs, any dancers, any video concepts, all of that um could have been or could be, right, like on the table. But the fact that they were just narrowing it to that, and I guess I look at it like the industry as a whole, like that whole culture of, anyway, I'm getting into another subject, but I will say this, that whole culture of patriarchy, capitalism, power, and control, right? That is a culture. And and that there are or have been powerful black women in those spaces upholding that culture. When we talk about women in hip hop, when I look at the beginning, right? The beginning history, just from much of the conversations that happen, that folks are like, well, there was only MC Sean Rock, and there was Sequence, and then there was. But I like this article because it talks a little bit about the Pebbly Pool, Queen Lisa Lee. You know what I'm saying? So there's some more women, and I'm hoping that it will spark so that we can even uncover and start to learn more about these women and some others, right? Because hip hop was an entire culture. um yeah, right. And Pebbly Pooh, right? So I mean the article didn't really even go into her. um and so there was a culture, like it talked about how there was a culture of hip hop where it was more centered on the performance, right? And it was more about like coming to the show and the energy that was like at the show, and the microphone controller, like who can control the crowd, right? It was a whole thing. And the battles and things, as we see here, at least as described, those were more, as I would, opinion alert, I would say that was more based in patriarchy. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole battle culture thing. Although I did like battling, I was a B girl. That was like the center of my life was battling. But I think that was more rooted in patriarchy. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, I don't know, this article makes me want to learn more about like this period. You know what I'm saying? Like the women who were rocking these shows, like you know what I'm saying? Because we're told that these were the only women, but it's because there's snippets of recordings of them. But for sure, there have been plenty of women. Now, if we want to get in a capitalist framework, it's like, were they famous? Did they have a this? But my question more is like, who were they? Even if they were like, quote unquote, like just a part of the community. You know what I'm saying? I want to learn like more who they are. You know what I'm saying? Um, So Akuma says, still piss me off that people have more vitriol for women entertainers than systems that push the abundance of hypersexuality to please male audiences. Oh my God, we got to do a whole show and maybe a series on that, because that's also a subject that causes me great anxiety to talk about in public. Because, man, there is the whole like hypersexuality conversation within feminism where, like, for instance, um the pro porn movement, the body positivity, and body positivity isn't just the size of your body, right? It's also like um lending itself more into like um you know, porn being a part of and when I say porn, I'm not talking about like the way how people see porn in a negative sense. It's the body positivity folks, and there's a certain segment of feminists who see porn as, part of their identity, and completely positive. And so the questions that I always have with that are related to capitalism and patriarchy, because I have questions about, is this um your idea, or is this like, or is it a need to satisfy the male gaze, to have an income and livelihood? Is it some, I mean, and these are not verses, right? Because some people say that they accept it, it brings them great joy and all of that. I'd have questions though about, is this a lane that is serving like the male gaze or capitalism, or buying into that? But that's a whole nother show that we need like another series to like probe. Um, Zenzibo said, I definitely want to learn more because in this 50th year of hip hop, I've only seen one showcase centered around women in hip hop, and that's a shame. There was only one. Man, I wish I had a budget. That's the other thing about capitalism. Like back in the day, you could just make a couple phone calls and people would slide through. But nah, hunty, you gotta have a coin. You know what I'm saying? Hmm. I'm not mad at them. You know what I'm saying? It's their business, their livelihood. Sucks for me as a person who loves the culture. It's like I don't have a coin to get you, Bob. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of films, and then over the years, there's been different films, that have been made. Um, to go check out. But what I notice is there's an abundance, like like not that there's an abundance, but in the scope of talking about women in hip hop, it feels as though there's an abundance of stories and things. And, everyone always talks about Queen Latifah or MC Light or Lauryn Hill, or less so. No, they might mention MC Sharrock, or they might mention Cindy, but less so about this period here, but like this like 70s, early 80s. So I want to, this article is only 16 pages. I want to see more about like women, from this era. I'm hoping that we see some more. So Zinzabel said, I know about the film, so it would be dope to see a concert with just the sisters, right? All the shows I saw this year was dozen big sausage fests. And because when people are booking these shows, people, there's all these conversations. Who's your top five? I hate the top five conversation because I'm like, five. Do you know how many MCs there are in the world? And a lot of them were like really good. But they do that whole who's your top five, who's your Mount Rushmore, like that whole thing. Um, and when people that are in charge of all these things, people that work at these places that have budgets to do these concerts that you're talking about, like they got enough money to bring this, da, da, da. These folks never think about bringing in any women. If they ever think about bringing in any women, it's gonna be Queen Latifah, MC Light. Who else will they bring? That's all they were. That's all they were bring. No, don't get me wrong. Love Queen Latifah and MC Light. I'm just saying most of those people that are bringing them old school shows and stuff, they're gonna get Rakim. They're gonna get KRS One. Uh, who else will they get? Let's see the Big Daddy Kane. And don't get me wrong, I used to love all those. Oh my God, Melly Mel. Side note, did y'all see that Melly Mel beat the brakes off that woman at the motel or hotel or whatever? I'm like, what is it in the year of hip hop 50? I guess it's like the age of Aquarius, Um, it's like the age of Aquarius. Like we're just, And what's interesting is that right, I didn't see him doing it. I'm saying I heard about it. Yeah, I read about it. But it's what's interesting. So Melly Mel Yipper, this song, The Message. Um, don't push me cause I'm close to the edge. You know that song? Just checking to see if you do or not. Put it in the chat if you do. So we're talking about pioneers. And I mean, this is supposed to be about women, but I gotta do a side note because you mentioned Cool Herc. And wait, what did you say, Akuma? That Cindy about what you say about Cindy? Um, you said I'm scared to say ironic because Dr. Ball, but DJ Kool Herc did that party for his sister, but I never heard her mention, along with the rampant sexism that has always gotten promoted through the genre. So yeah, Cindy was Kool Herc's sister. It was her party though. It wasn't a party for her. It was Cindy is called the mother of hip hop. Kool Herc's sister Cindy, it was her party. It was her concept. She was the promoter. She needed to make some money for her birthday. So she created the whole party and everything. She put him on. So that's how the whole party thing came about. There's a couple of interviews with them that's on YouTube that talk about it, but it's really powerful if you could look it up. But she actually is the mother of hip hop, right? So even that, like, even yeah, so it was her party. She was like, it was her birthday. She wanted to get some money. I know it's based in capitalism or whatever, but she wanted to get some money. So she had a party and she had her DJ her party. He gets credited, obviously, because of patriarchy, with creating hip hop. She actually is the mother of hip hop. So yeah. Um. So what else? And yeah, so all this, and let's just be real. I mean, in general, America is a violent place, right? It's been violent since its inception, so it's no mystery that its people are violent, and the conditions under which people in this country are forced to live pushes people to do things that test the levels of their humanity. And yes, it's all systemic. And at the same exact time, when we think about the origins of hip hop, obviously there's, they say that it was created for peace and this and that, but there's always been violence in the community, in the world, and in hip hop. And so gender-based violence, right? And even in the beginnings there was hypersexuality. Maybe it wasn't as explicit as it is now, or maybe it wasn't, but the lyrics were still talking about, in a fun, cute way, right? Like a lot of the same themes. So it's not to say like that things were better then or whatever, right? So I also don't want to like give that off as well. Um and I mean, Cool Hurt, yeah, the turntables, the keeping the beat going from disco to turn it into a loop so that you can hold a break, you know what I'm saying, so that people could rhyme over it, so you can extend that feeling. Yeah, that's Cool Hurt. um so don't want to take anything away from Cool Hurt, right? Just want to add on to our history and expand our history and help us understand that, yeah, we've always been here. And wondering too, I wonder, I would, so I'm gonna work on that, y'all. Getting some older people to come and maybe see if we could unearth some of these stories that they're willing to share, you know. And as this is super side note, I remember this is extra side note. I remember some years ago, I want to say probably almost like a decade ago, when Cool Herc was on Twitter. Back, like, he was on Twitter because he needed a kidney. Was it a kidney? Yeah. Was it a kidney? And I just remember thinking, like, he was in the hospital, like almost on his deathbed, and went on Twitter to ask for money to support his health expenses. And I just remember thinking, like, why can't like Jay-Z or Puffy just write a check and just pay his bill? And I want to say that it happened. Somebody supported. But what really hurt was that Cool Herc had to go on Twitter, like while he was on his deathbed in the hospital, to ask for support. And I'm thinking, all these people are making all this coin off of hip hop. That shouldn't be something that he has to come on and ask for. Like, people should be checking for him and taking care of him, you know? Um, and to me, that's the patriarchy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, get what you could get, you know, um, and just consume, consume, consume. And I just remember feeling like to the pit of my stomach, like a really anger. I remember I retweeted, you know how on Twitter you're not supposed to like at people because they're like, oh, you don't have consent to like at me. I added every major rapper. This is when people were themselves on Twitter, like a decade ago, a little more than. I was atting all of them, like, shame on you, shame on you. Because I was just like, It's ridiculous that y'all flex all day and night. 50 Cent. All y'all do is flex. Russell Simmons. All these people, Run DMC. All these people, all they do, Cool Herc is over here. You know what I'm saying? And any hootie Rudy tootie, I just want to say that moving forward, we're leaving 2023, and this year of Hip Hop 50 has been revealing all the way down to the whole Puffy Cassie thing. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's, with the Bambaataa in 2016, and what was Melly Mel was last year, and all the things that we've been, what was it, Nas and Khalees was, I don't remember, but we're seeing all of it, right? Like unearth itself. And you know how, like, when you do the spring cleaning and you get in the corners and you know what I'm saying? You got to get the dust out so you could sweep and mop, and you know what I'm saying? Get the lemon and the vinegar and all that stuff to get it together. Like, I'm just feeling like that's what we can do moving forward, is like unearth this. So we're learning about all of these, you know, learning about all of these, it is white supremacy. So not to take away from white supremacy, but it goes back to my original question, right? Like, yes, it is white supremacy. And at the same time, maybe because I come from African-centered world, family, community, it's up to us to take care of our people. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's our response. Our people are our responsibility. I am saying it should. We probably should never say shoulds, but I am saying it should. That's up to us to take care of our people, right? That's our job, is to take care of our people. And it is white supremacy, but I'm not going to blame white supremacy for, like, not taking care of Cool Herc. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like on some basic, that's some basic. So, yeah. Yeah, white supremacy, patriarchy, capitalism, they're all in bed with each other. But it goes back to, like I said before, where's our power? Like, we have power, right? There is the system of what's happening, and we also have power. And so, not to deny our own power, and yeah, we're caught in this system and all this kind of thing, but we do also have power. You know what I'm saying? In some of this or all of this or whatever. And just looking into 2024 and beyond, like, how do we move forward? And again, when you come here, asking these questions, promoting women, lifting up women MCs and dancers and artists and behind the scenes and all that stuff. So always want to push forth the women that are doing things, but just asking ourselves these questions, like, as hip hop is 50, and we look back at the ways in which, women were present in this art form in the beginning, and now, we're seeing more of a prevalence of women, a very narrow identity is being projected forward, right? Um, I just see that we do have power to project ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Like, more into the future. So that's kind of more what I'm, looking at. You know what I'm saying? Um so anyway, I could go on and on and on about this topic, but I've been talking for a minute, and I think I'm gonna land the plane like right about here. So what I want to do is thank everyone for joining the stream. Appreciate you. Every Monday, 8 p.m. I got a question before I go, though. So, and maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. But December 25th is a Monday and January 1st is a Monday. I'm wondering, like, if I take off those two, will y'all come back? Because I'm thinking of just relaxing, on those days with everyone else. Or if I do a show, maybe I was thinking of like some shows to do, for that day. I've got so many topics, but I'm thinking like if I go away for like 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying? Are y'all gonna punish me for like like not come back? Or should I do shows on those days? Will y'all watch or y'all will be chilling with your family and won't care? I'm feeling like y'all will be chilling with y'all families or something and won't really care to be watching no YouTube. You know what I'm saying? On those days. But maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know. Put in the chat what y'all think or let me know. Also, to like, share, subscribe, to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Also, just a reminder for Black Power Media, if you don't know, we're asking folks to go to the Patreon if you want to donate. And we are asking to go to the Patreon to donate to support the channel. You know what I'm saying? Also to so y'all would be watching if I come on the 25th and the first, y'all will watch? Because I was thinking y'all wouldn't care and wouldn't want to watch. But we'll see. I got some topics to talk about, but let's see. And then also too, in the description, like, I've given talking about this, but guess what? I'm gonna ask everybody to also December the what is it? The 18th. So December 18th, I'm gonna be talking with Tandaziswe Chimarenga. So do y'all know Tandy? She's got the Root Work show on Black Power Media and her own channel. She's an author. She did a new book. It's called Some of Us Are Brave. And when I tell y'all this book is good, she interviewed all these different Black women from the movement, intergenerational, from over time, I don't know, 20 years or so. And she put them into a book so that we have all these stories. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna ask y'all to get her book if you don't have her book. Some of Us Are Brave. If you have the book, please read the book. She's agreed to come on the show and promote her book. So I'm so excited. She is such a gem, a jewel. I am so honored that she said yes. Y'all have no idea what a treasure she is. So maybe I will take a break. So maybe I will take a break on the 25th and the 1st. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I'll think about it. Like again, like I said, I have a lot of topics, but let me think about it. So, this is dope. Wait a minute. You went to Howard too, Zinzi? I went to Howard too, but I was there 90 to 94. What? That's awesome. Hate you. We should do a whole yeah, we do know a lot of same people because I went on your Instagram like, huh? But and I lived in Brooklyn from 96, or did I move there in 97? No, I lived in Brooklyn from 96 to 2005. Child. Yeah, that's when I was in BK on DeKalb Avenue. Um, DeKalb Avenue, right off the D train, the first stop on the D, right across from Fort Greene Park. So that's when I lived there. Yeah. Know a lot of same people. Used to go over there to shoot and go to Carol's daughter and um all the things, all the things. I used to eat at that Senegalese restaurant that was around the corner. Please forgive me, I forgot the name. Used to be over there on Atlantic Avenue. Um Over there with all the remember when the Hebrew Israelites used to be screaming at people. Um oh, you went to Brooklyn Tech? So you know Fort Greene, yeah. All the things, all the things. Mm-hmm. All the same peoples. But yeah, but check that. That's funny. Yipper said the second uh HU. We gonna fight. Which where you in Hampton? No, you told me that your peoples with the Hampton. That's a little inside funny thing that we say. I have friends with the Hampton. They always say that we're like the bootleg HU, and I'm like, how when we were first. But anyway, okay, sorry, I got a little elitist on y'all. Didn't mean to. Let me reel it back on in. So yeah, Zenzi said don't start none, won't be none. But yeah, no. So I'm gonna take a break, y'all, for so I'm gonna do next week I'm going to Alabama. So I'm not gonna have a show because I'm going to Alabama and I'm gonna it's a learning journey and I'm gonna be learning from some of the elders from the Louds County who organized the Montgomery bus boycott down there. So I'm gonna be with some elders, getting some storytelling and all that. So hopefully they let me record them, but I'll be doing some learning. So I won't have a show next week, but the 18th. So make sure the whole gang is here for the 18th because another thing I want to do is really support Tandy and I want people to buy her book. I want people to show up in the chat. I want to just bombard her, not bombard, that's the wrong word. Bless her or, shower her with lots of encouragement, you know, and her next book, oh my God, I promise I wouldn't say anything. But let me tell you when I say I can't wait for this book to come out. No, there's a second volume to this book that's coming out January. But there's another book that I can't wait for it to come out. And when this book comes out, it's going to be amazing. But for now, let me reel it back in. I want y'all to get the Some of Us Are Brave book and show up here on December the 18th, having either bought the book or read the book or both, so that we can be in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Like really, really, really supporting Tandy and like and share that episode because I'm trying to get it out there. You know what I'm saying? Trying to help her promote her book and everything. So that's what we'll do. So no show next week. There will be a show on the 18th, and then no show on the 25th, and no show on the 1st. I know it's confusing, but I'll try to make sure. Go on my social media, go in the description, go to the social media. That way I can, keep y'all abreast of things. And I've got a lot of topics and stuff that I want to talk about. And I really would like this to be an interactive space if y'all want it to be. So hit me up in an email, you know what I'm saying, sometime and let me know, like, hey, what about this topic? Or what about this person? Or something like that. And again, I'm still scheduling people. People are busy. I'm still trying to schedule the Palestinian women hip hop artists. Um, there's just a lot of logistics to scheduling them, but I'm staying steadfast because definitely want to hear from them. But working on that. There's some other Cuban hip hop artists that I've reached out to. Scheduling is difficult. Working on them. Me and Tony Blackman touch base. She says she's looking for a date, so we're juggling the date. But know that that's gonna come. And there's a that, so those are the things that I can share. The other stuff is still tentative because I'm still working on scheduling things. And then I've also got other articles and stuff. Y'all should um I'm gonna stop sharing for like half a second. Well, not for half a second. I'm gonna stop sharing. And a lot of the um conversations uh that I want to have based on the articles, man, I've been just doing a lot of research too. And I need to get with Ear Doctor because I know he plays music. So I just need to find out from him like how I can play music because I don't want to get a strike for playing any music. So I need to find out from him how I play the music. Maybe Black Power Media already paid for the um licenses or whatever, but I haven't even played my own music because I just don't want any, and because it's like also on YouTube, but I just don't want any strikes. Because I already know the channel got like a couple strikes and they got out of strike jail or whatever. Um and yeah, shouts out to Ear Doctor because the Sundays radio is awesome. I know y'all check it out, but those of you who come over here, check out Ear Doctor as well. So yeah, okay, boom. So we'll land the plane here. And so yeah, again, I'll be in Alabama next week. And so come back the 18th. I want everybody come back on December the 18th at 8 p.m. here. And we can support Tan Disease Way and her book and have a great conversation. Um Yeah, then I guess after that is gonna be in the new year where we're scheduled everyone. So again, much appreciation to everyone who's joined today, to Zenzabel, Jaman, Yipper, Teresa, Akuma, Quaker Anarchist. Um, Let me see, I'm going back through here. JM, who else? Poncho, um, Solly, who else is in here? I'm just going back, I'm just, I'm hip hop. I gotta do shout outs. Shout outs are important. You know what I'm saying? Well, to me, they are. I like them. It shows community. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like social proof, as they say. Um, Y'all, we've been in here chat, 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 chat. That's what's up. And James, if you're still here, yep. So, see y'all in about 2 weeks. Enjoy next week. Enjoy this week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Um, and yeah, hope to give positive report backs from Alabama. Appreciate y'all tuning in and listening. And if you're watching the recording, please again go in the description to see how to link with me and other people from the channel. Like, share, subscribe, you know, to this video and to the channel. And yeah, I just appreciate y'all. All right. So have a great week. Peace.